what brought me to Akin is that I had not created any art in over, say, 10 years, or I hadn't done a boutique in 10 years. And I wanted that to come to an end. I need something, like at the beginning of 2021, I got sick. Uh, it was a very tumultuous time. I actually was paralyzed. And from being paralyzed and being restricted and just being at home and not being able to go anywhere, not being able to walk, when you finally learned how to walk again, not being able to walk far, it was like a constant struggle, a constant battle of just like every day was something different that you had to deal with, and having to constantly shift your mindset. This was for me, coming to Akin and getting the studio space. I said, I want a space for me. I want to create. But also being paralyzed made me start drawing again but I was doing it more as a digital illustration. Thankfully, my sister she gave me a challenge to draw a panda a week, and I created a little panda series, and that made me want to pursue art more on a full-time basis, like throwing myself into it more and creating what I wanted to create. So that's what led me here. Actually, it was a nice development over time, and I was very happy to find that I had gotten a space here, and I was like, oh wow, okay, I guess this is it, we're gonna do this. It was fantastic. And then getting to set up the space the way I want to. Right now I have like a couple pieces behind me that are ready to go that I've created. Like this one is a modern boutique piece. It's in the process of getting done, but that's the benefit of it. I can always have a lot of pieces in the go, but now I know I have the space to finish it, the time to finish it, like this sanctuary, and inspiration. So what I'm curious about right now is exploring different medias. I'm curious about testing the limits of my creativity. I'm known for, or what I focus on primarily before coming to Akin, was modern batik art, which is basically inks, dyes, and wax on fabric. But I want to break out of that mold, and I want to experiment more and see what other medias can I bridge into. This way I'm not getting boxed in, and I can explore more freely my imagination and just layer. Doesn't mean I'm going to be stopping the modern batik art style or process. It just means I'm in the process of exploring who am I, where am I going, what more can I do. How I stimulate my curiosity is just by finding images or illustrations that inspire me, by just having fun exploring the media, seeing what I can do with it, how far I can push it. Practicing, obviously, is always important, because most of the medias that I'm working with currently, I'm just revisiting again from the past, because I haven't been working with them as long as I used to. And I think that's been a fun exploration, just to see where everything is going and how far I can push myself. So it's definitely been an enlivening process, and it's allowed me just to ease into the process of exploring who am I, who is Tiana, where is she going, what can she bring forth right now. My first medium was definitely crayons and pencils growing up. How I found out I could draw was the first grade. It was a book report, and I remember after drawing the image, after you gave a summary of the book report and drawing the image, I thought to myself, oh wow, this is pretty good. I think the book at the time was Clifford, and I was like, wow, this is pretty accurate, this is pretty good. And I remember showing it to my mom and everybody, and they're like, whoa, this is really good. And I just remember drawing ever since then, nonstop, always drawing, always illustrating since I was in elementary school. Just slowly, that's what got me into art and the creativity, and just finding the joy and the excitement of like seeing people's responses, and then just also losing myself in the process of creating something for fun. Right now, the medias that I am more familiar with are modern batik, Again, it is the wax dyes and inks on canvas, as well as right now I'm really throwing myself into watercolor and gouache. I remember really loving gouache a lot when I was in high school, but I never really pursued it. And then since I haven't really been doing art like seriously for about 10 years prior to coming to Akin, it's been a fun process to revisit the things that I love to do and seeing exactly why I love the media. I think what I'm definitely really focusing on right now is just exploring medias and not limiting myself to one media, because that is good if you could master one, but if you don't explore other ones, you won't really find the one that's right for you and the one that really speaks to you and sings to you. So my strategy when I came back to Akin was just to visit everything that I love to do, all the medias that I love to try, just to see, just to rediscover me from before and rediscover me now, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that's kind of the whole idea behind it. So my routine when I come into the studio is simple. I come in, I put some sage essential oil into my diffuser, and then I let that, permeate and create a nice atmosphere. I wouldn't say that I am a daily person yet, just because I just got back into my practice and I've only been able to come to the studio in spurts whenever I've been able to, and when I haven't been sick or anything like that. So I'd say right now I'm project focused. Like right now I am working on creating a 100 Days of Flowers project, which is something that I got into because a friend had suggested it. And it's definitely unlocked my creativity, because I don't normally like florals, but I like the idea of creating it. It's pushing me outside of my comfort zone, and it's definitely pushed me beyond where I would normally have gone before. And I'm grateful for her for even making that post, because now I can say that it's unlocked something that I didn't know was locked, and now I'm excited to just try different medias and explore how far I can take this. This is just a small project that I'm working on right now. I have a lot of different other projects that I want to get started on, but I gotta pace myself more. So finding a picture that inspires me and then recreating it in my own way. I have a lot of themes and messages that I want to work on, but first I think I want to find out the style that I enjoy. So I think right now I'm in the process of developing a style that speaks to me more. That's not because this piece was created 10 years ago, so it's an old style, but I'm not the same person I was when I created this. So who am I now? So this process has all mostly been about finding that new version of me. So I'm just using inspiration in order to get to that. I think eventually, once I've figured out the style that speaks to me, then I can start introducing more complicated topics or themes. Right now, any inspiration I get, I write down in a little sketchbook. In a little sketchbook, which is, I get this at the dollar store, which is honestly a good place now to get little sketchbooks that you don't really care about, that you just need to draw on. And a little habit that I've been doing recently is, like, whenever I'm on the train or anything, I'm just sitting there and I try to write or draw as many little random sketches as I can while I'm between each stop, and I just continue rolling with it. I don't know what these images are or what they're going to become in the future. My process is to get out of my head and into my doing, and that's what it's mostly been about. I'd say the artist I would love to revisit is my younger self, the me before I stopped doing art, the me who wasn't layered with all the doubts as an artist, who was more confident in her creative process, who was more confident in her ability to create in what she was envisioning. I would love to interview the younger me, because sometimes I look back at my old work and I think to myself, who is she? You know, it's just so fascinating because I look back and I'm like, wow, I did that. And I'm so disconnected sometimes from the person that I was as a young thing. Like, I want to know what my mind was like. I want to know what I was operating as. Because even though I've grown as a person and I've evolved, I can still be, and I'm still intrigued by that version of me that's still me. But when I look back, I'm like, what? I did this? Wow, I did this. And then, and just reconnecting with that version, and then just like, you know, just trying to figure out what was my thinking process in it, you know, because I feel like it was a little bit smoother, a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more into the process. Less, I'd say, you know what, maybe the word is unburdened. Yes, unburdened and just fully in flow. That would definitely be the version of me that was from 10 years ago. But that's just life, you know. Sometimes you become burdened by life. And this is the part of life where you're in the process of letting all the things that you've accumulated go and finding a new flow, because you should always be finding a new flow, you know? But yeah, that was it. So some of the benefits of being in the studio for me is obviously the space. Like, I could have done art at home, which I did. I pursued it just digitally, but I didn't throw my heart into it. The problem, I wanted to do more batiks, modern batiks, these ones specifically. But modern batik involves wax, dyes, inks on fabric, and honestly, if you don't have the space to set it up, it's a hassle to do in a way, just because one drop of a fabric dye could ruin your everything that you're wearing, right? Like your whole room or living room, it would just travel all over the place. So having a dedicated space in order to do that, and this is like where the wax is melted in the rice cooker. If you don't have the space to do that, it makes it very difficult to do it. And honestly, to do it, and you're limited by how big you can create it also. But mostly it was a very messy process. What Akin's given me is honestly the ability to experiment, the space to experiment, a community of artists that you can talk to and like collaborate with and speak to, and just like get their creative process, talk to them about what they're doing, how they're doing it, what inspires them. And that's been the biggest benefit. You know, like, you're like, whoa, hearing their stories, hearing why they came to Akin, hearing what made them want to pursue their art, hearing what they do in the day and what they do when they come to Akin. Seeing the diversity is what makes Akin so, I think, beneficial to artists in the community. And I think why I'm very grateful that it's here, you know, like, I feel like it gave me freedom to pursue my passions. And I feel like a lot of the people who are in Akin are also feel the same way. They all look liberated. It's a haven, a safe zone where you can come and explore the things and unburden yourself from, you know, your daily grind, your daily work thing. You're just like, this space is my space, and in this space I can create, in this space I can evolve, in this space I can unwind. You know, a lot of the people I've talked to said that Akin to them is their sanctuary, you know, their creative sanctuary, the space that they can call home, that's theirs, that's filled with where they can, you know, be a kid again, explore again, throw paint on canvas, depending on what your art style is, you know, just unleash that creative spirit, that creative passion within them. And that's priceless. You can't put a price on that. That is priceless. Okay. What I'm not very good at as an artist is showing my work. It's like I have a whole collection of things that I've never shared that I need to share, obviously. It's just collecting dust. And I think that's why I wanted the studio, not only to create new work that resonates with me, but I feel like it's important to also show all the work that I've done previously. And I think that's what I'm going to be working on over the next couple of months until the end of 2023, is just showing the full capacity of what I'm capable of, showing a lot of the ideas that maybe I don't think are good, but other people might enjoy, and just letting that out the bag. Like, we often are our own worst critics. We often are the ones that judge ourselves the harshest, and that may be. And sometimes we just gotta have more compassion and grace for ourselves and say that, hey, you know what, this is good. Like, it's okay, but it doesn't do anything if you don't show anything, right? It's like painting all these paintings and then you find out it's like being a secret painter and no one ever knows, but then you just got to let it out and let people see what you can do. So I think my favorite place in the city to buy and get tools and materials is actually Gortzman's. And the only reason I really like Gortzman's is because honestly, it's a small family owned business, but mostly a lot of the batik materials that I use for my work, I get from there. Gortzman is great for that. So if you do want to get like the fabric for the batiks, you can go to Gortzman's to go grab it. The most inspiring place in the city for me right now is honestly in my studio. You know, it's a place where I feel the calmest. Like, end of August, I was mad every day for some reason. I didn't even know what. And then the solution was simple. I went to my studio, and every time I left, I felt calmer. I felt balanced. I felt happy. I felt zen. I'm like, okay, throw that anger and that rage into what you're creating, and that can transform a lot of things. And I've talked to a lot of different artists, and that's kind of how they do. They channel that anger, that emotion that they don't even know what's flowing through them into their work, into their process, into their creations, and that is what allows them to let that feeling go, let that emotion go, and then walk back into your everyday life and be like, I'm good. Everything's good. And yeah, so definitely this is the most creative, inspiring place for me right now. Which is great. I try to make it very spruced up and so I can see as many inspiring places. And plus you get to walk through the aisles and see other people's work all the time. So it's hard not to be inspired and feel energized and feel like, oh my God, I can't wait to come back. When you talk about great art conversation, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about this again. That's the benefit and the beauty of it. Like, it's the best place to see art because it's live. It's always developing. People are always developing new pieces, new artworks. Sometimes a new member will come in and then you get to see their artwork and talk about their process and their thing. And I think that's valuable. And to add to the benefits of being in the studio, I think it's just having your own space to create and to channel your own inspiration, to meet other like-minded people who are also in a similar position, having a similar experience, also trying to find their own creative path, their own creative voice. And the communal aspect of it, we have monthly meetups at the end of the month, which I think is also beneficial because, artists sometimes very, sometimes we're all by ourselves. And I think it's good to meet other artists and just like, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's good for you. It's good practice. I think it would be cool if we had like a monthly one or a bi-monthly where it's just like different Akin studios coming together and just like from different locations and seeing what they are doing. I think that's also a good idea to do. So the date for my exhibition will be from September the 22nd to October the 22nd, and I hope you guys enjoy the exhibit. The exhibit is called A Simpler Time, and it is based off of a poem that I wrote about how it was so much easier back then when we were younger to explore creativity, how simple it was just to create without expectations, without worrying about anything else, and how it would be amazing just to return back to those simpler times, when it was just us, the work, the material, and the media. And that was the concept of the work. And I wrote a poem trying to conceptualize that idea one day when I was on going to work to train, because I was just so frustrated about life and creating and art and not making art and not creating art, and that's where the inspiration came. So I do hope you enjoy this exhibition and like it. And I'm going to read for you the poem that is the inspiration for the exhibit. Put down your burdens, sweet child. It's time to return to simpler times. Times when joys were filled with what you created rather than what you did for others. Where sacrifices were how much paint you had left. A time where you were the only model for your success. where competition was how far you could push yourself rather than how far others would push you. Come with me, so that we can step again into those little shoes filled with hopes and dreams. Walk with me, so that we can step again into those places that we were told only darkness lives, and realize that so much light was there. Let's put away these thoughts that will not serve a simpler you, and blow them away like those dandelions you remember the way we used to do. Sweet child, oh sweet child, let's lay your burdens down. I know it hasn't been easy for you. You have struggled. You have fallen, but still you rise. No ground will hold you. It is not time for you and soil to meet. Unbend and unmend these neatly sewn delusions. Unwrap the fabric of past disappointments and reknit the ropes of a new man, a new woman. Oh, sweet child, do you remember the discovery of simpler times? And I hope you guys enjoyed that poem that inspired the exhibition. And remember to focus on the simpler times. Just joking. Just, focus on what you love. Focus on what gives you joy. Focus on what gives you happiness. Because at the end of the day, that is the only way to be happy. Put into you what you wish others, what you keep putting into others. I had a friend that told me that we sacrifice our lives so often for other people, but we never sacrifice ourselves for ourselves. And that spoke volumes to me. I was floored when she said that. And I thought to myself, yes, I have sacrificed so much things for everybody else, but have I ever sacrificed anything for myself? I'm like, why am I not worthy of my own sacrifice? And that was prolific. And the person that told this to me was my friend Francesca. So thank you, Francesca. She is a great poet also. And hopefully one day when she decides to share her work with you, I will share it with you too. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you guys enjoyed that exhibit.